Good morning, friends. How are we today? The good news is, I have a wonderful story for you today. In this, we will explore the realm of basic physics, initially very fundamental. We are going to re-examine and challenge our understanding of the space, mass, and gravity again. Yes, some of us do not understand the geometric abstractions of the last century. We need new ideas to create a fundamental shift in our understanding of the cosmos. The good news just comes pouring in before the monsoons of 2026. A groundbreaking research of Dr. Satinder Singh Malik. We are introducing a new paradigm in our interpretation of physical reality, Hydrodynamic Celestial Mechanics. Yes, it is the celestial mechanics of the plenum fluid. This theory is so simple yet so captivating.
This framework unifies mass and kinematics without the gravitational framework, replacing the classical vacuum with a physical viscous quantum foam. It explains gravity, inertia, and planetary dynamics through pure fluid mechanics.
This research achieves a mathematical liberation by establishing a unified plenum, bipartite mass, meaning two facets of mass, and magnetokinematic framework that functions entirely without the need of a practically calculated constant g. We are moving away from the conceptual void of spooky action at a distance, toward a transparent, purely intuitive understanding of reality around us. By eliminating these empirical constants, like g, we treat the cosmos not as a mathematical puzzle, but as a fractal, realistic, and tangible fluidic system. Let us begin by re-examining the very medium through which all celestial bodies move.
This is new type of celestial mechanics, moving away from the classical assumption of action at a distance in an empty void. Instead, it proposes a hydrodynamic plenum of viscous, compressible quantum foam. Gravity becomes an adhesive inward pressure gradient, a push, not a pull.
To understand this shift, we must first discard the classical assumption of an empty void. In the Newtonian model, gravity is a mysterious pull across nothingness. The hydrodynamic framework replaces this void with a plenum, a physical, viscous quantum foam with a quantifiable density of ρ. 0 equals 8.854 times 10 minus 12 kilograms per meter. 3. The presence of this medium transforms our understanding of space. It is no longer nothing. It is a viscous fluid capable of exerting drag and maintaining pressure gradients. Gravity, therefore, is not a property of matter itself, but the result of matter interacting with the pressure gradients of this plenum. This shift allows us to move from the empirical uncertainty of g to the kinematic precision of the solar impeller phi. In Newtonian physics, mass is treated as a single monolithic number. However, to understand fluid interaction, we must deconstruct mass into its bipartite components. We define two distinct physical panels.
The theory asserts that mass is bipartite. The first component is the nuclear matrix, or Mahatva, the inert nucleonic anchor. The second is the plenum-displaced, or Gurutva, the interactive drag volume. Inertia is the mechanical interaction when the nucleonic anchor drags its electron boundary through the surrounding viscous plenum.
This distinction is vital because it provides a mechanical origin for inertia. Inertia is no longer a given property of matter. It is the mechanical interaction where the dense nucleonic anchor MQM must drag its voluminous electronic boundary, MF, through the surrounding viscous plenum. Essentially, inertia is the literal mechanical drag experienced by an object as it displaces the quantum foam. This drag is the foundation of the gravitational force itself.
The concept of gravity as an aerodynamic push, not a pull, is visualized here as a vortex. The rotating central impeller creates a pressure gradient. Bodies suspended in this gradient experience a net inward aerodynamic push, which is what is commonly referred to as gravitational attraction.
If space is a fluid medium, then every rotating celestial body acts as a central impeller. This rotation creates centrifugal stratification, establishing a fluid vortex where we see low pressure at the eye and high pressure at the periphery. This yields the pure equation, G equals phi hi R2. Observe the total mathematical liberation provided by the absence of g and macroscopic mass m. The R2 denominator simply reflects the geometric dilution of the central engine's power over a spherical area. What we have historically misidentified as a, quote, pull of attraction is, in reality, an adhesive inward aerodynamic push. Planets are not being pulled toward the sun. They are being forced into the low-pressure center of the solar vortex by the surrounding high-pressure plenum. We are seeing aerodynamics at a celestial scale.
The plenum influence parameter, phi, is an invariant that characterizes the total engine strength of the local vortex. It is entirely extractable from pure kinematic data without empirical constants. Its invariance across a large orbital radius factor suggests the entire solar system operates inside a single, coherent fluid vortex.
The observational evidence for this is undeniable. The mean value phi sun equals 1.3274 times 1,020 cubic meters per square second. It remains stable across the solar system within a plus or minus 0.15% band, even across a factor of 24.6 in orbital radius. This invariance is the smoking gun for our paradigm. It proves the solar system is not a collection of isolated bodies in a vacuum, but a single, coherent fluid vortex. However, a vortex requires an engine, which leads us to the source of this rotational energy.
The solar system functions as a magnetokinematic induction motor, where external magnetic flux drives planetary rotation, axial tilt, and geothermal heat. These are not primordial remnants, but are actively and continuously driven by the galactic magnetic flux relayed through the Sun.
The process begins with external magnetic flux from the solar Parker spiral, which induces nucleonic spin alignment in the planetary cores. This alignment generates a magnetokinematic torque, defined by tau mag equals mu times b, which drives stable rotation and axial tilt. A byproduct of this process is the generation of confined eddy currents, leading to Joule heating. This forces us to reevaluate planetary energetics. Earth's 6,000 degrees Celsius core is not a, quote, primordial remnant of heat slowly decaying over billions of years. It is a geothermal furnace actively and continuously powered by galactic magnetic flux relayed through the Sun. We are living on an active induction rotor, not a cooling cinder.
Elliptical orbits are explained by Magnus effect deformation due to the galactic plenum wind. At perihelion, the planet is forced closer to the Sun on the compressed high-pressure leading edge. At aphelion, it swings wider into the rarefied low-pressure trailing wake.
As the solar vortex translates through this viscous medium, it deforms. At perihelion, the planet is forced closer to the Sun by the compressed high-pressure leading edge, the bow shock. At aphelion, the planet swings wider into the stretched, rarefied, low-pressure wake. This is a profound paradigm shift. An elliptical orbit is not a curvature of spacetime, but the literal shape of a rotating fluid vortex being deformed by translational motion through a viscous medium.
Orbital spacing is governed by acoustic standing waves. The Sun's core rotation sends acoustic pressure waves outward through the compressible plenum, reflecting off the heliopause to establish a system-wide standing wave. Planets are shepherded into the quiet nodes, leading to a natural orbital ladder.
The spacing of our planets is not a matter of chance. It is a meticulously sorted system. The Sun's nucleonic core, rotating every 1.4 hours, sends acoustic pressure waves through the plenum. These waves reflect off the heliopause, creating a system-wide standing wave. This leads to the universal formula, Rn equals N. 2. Dot operator R. 0, where R. 0 approximately equals 0.04, 2 astronomical units. This is mathematically identical to the Bohr atomic formula. This unification of the subatomic and the celestial is the ultimate goal of the unified plenum theory. It shows the same wave mechanics govern both scales. The survival rule here is purely mechanical. Planets with substantial interactive mass, MEF, cannot survive the high oscillating shear of antinodes. They are shepherded into the quiet nodes where the pressure is stable.
The solar system is a meticulously sorted machine governed by the orbital sorting equation. Dense, tightly bound matter sinks inward toward the inner vortex, while voluminous, weakly bound matter is centrifuged outward. Density dictates position.
The stratified centrifuge, density dictates position. Speaker. In addition to wave sorting, the solar system operates as a stratified centrifuge. The Sun, acting as the primary impeller, organizes matter according to a strict hydrodynamic rule, R proportional 1/RHO uncompressed. Dot. Dense, tightly bound matter sinks toward the inner vortex, while voluminous, weakly bound matter is centrifugally pushed outward. This naturally categorizes the system into inner sinking rotors and outer buoyant flywheels. Every planet is located exactly where fluid dynamics demands it must be, based on its uncompressed density. The system is a self-sorting machine.
The solar system has two distinct dynamic regimes. Inner sinking rotors are magnetically driven, with rotation and tilt constantly managed. Outer buoyant flywheels are magnetically insulated, retaining rapid primordial spin rates, allowing for extensive satellite systems.
These are magnetically insulated from the weak outer solar field. Consequently, they retain their rapid primordial spin rates of 9 to 17 hours. Because of their immense uncompressed volumes, they dominate their local plenum vortices, allowing them to host extensive satellite systems. For a definitive proof point, look at Venus. It lacks an internal dipole, and thus experiences zero magnetic driving torque. Stripped of this solar gear, fluid drag from the plenum has successfully braked its rotation to a near halt, resulting in its 243-day retrograde spin. It is a stalled rotor in a viscous sea.
The framework eliminates the Newtonian singularity, presenting the eye of the storm. Inside a planet, cumulative interactive drag chokes the inward vortex flow. Gravity equals zero at the center because the fluid is entirely static, resulting in a high-pressure, zero-velocity eye.
Gravity equals zero at the center not because the surrounding mass cancels out, but because the fluid at that point is entirely static. There is no singularity, only a high static pressure, zero velocity, eye of the storm.
A self-similar fractal architecture is observed across cosmic scales. The fluid dynamic equations are identical at every level, from planetary to galactic. The quadratic PIP resonance law shows the containment ratio squares at each level, confirming self-similarity across 11 orders of magnitude.
Key strength of this framework lies in its self-similar fractal architecture, governed by the quadratic PIP resonance law. The fluid dynamic equations are identical at every scale. The containment ratio squares at each level. This has been confirmed to within 8% across 11 orders of magnitude. The Sun's relative power within the galaxy, that ratio of 1.33 times 10^31, is exactly the square of the Earth's relative power within the Sun. The universe is a single, integrated mechanical system, spanning from the Bohr radius to the galactic edge.
The framework demonstrates quantitative agreement without fitted parameters. Calculations for mass ratios, orbital velocity, and surface gravity are accurate within a small relative error when compared to accepted astronomical values, entirely without the use of the empirical constant g.
The predictive power of this model is evidenced by its quantitative agreement with observational data, achieved entirely without the use of GISS orbital velocity. Our model predicts 7.689 kilometers per second. Actual observed tracking is 7.66 kilometers per second, a mere 0.38% error. Mass ratios. 7 planetary mass ratios are accurate to within less than 1.4% of accepted values. Surface gravity. Using only phi and the surface radius, we derive the surface gravities of Earth, Mars, and the Sun to within 1% accuracy. These results are not fitted to the data. They are the natural outputs of fluid dynamic calculations.
Falsifiability is proposed through the vertical Michelson-Morley validation. While the horizontal configuration yields a null result, a vertically oriented apparatus should produce a measurable fringe shift due to the inward plenum flow, a test already inadvertently confirmed by the Pound-Rebka Harvard Tower experiment.
The smoking gun that will challenge a century of physics is a vertical configuration of the same apparatus. We predict an asymmetric, measurable fringe shift of 0.0011 fringes per meter. Interestingly, in the 1959 Pound-Rebka experiment, while classically attributed to, quote, time dilation, that result can be mechanically explained by this downward fluid flow. We invite the scientific community to perform the vertical Michelson-Morley test to confirm this flow directly.
This represents the return of mechanics to celestial dynamics through a unified, fractal, and G-free framework. Gravity, inertia, and electromagnetism are integrated into a single fluid dynamical model, accurately predicting celestial phenomena based solely on observational kinematics.
In conclusion, we are moving toward an era where physical mechanics returns to celestial dynamics. This framework provides 3 core pillars. A unified framework. Gravity, inertia, and electromagnetism are no longer separate mysteries. They are integrated into a single fluid dynamical and magnetokinematic model. A fractal system, the universe, is a self-similar integrated mechanical system across all scales. Predictive and G-free. We can now accurately predict the behavior of the cosmos relying solely on observational kinematics. We are replacing the, quote, empty space abstraction with a tangible, predictable, and mechanical universe. It is time to treat the stars as the fluid rotating machines, but they also have other functions too. We are now open for technical questions. You can subscribe to get our further research updates by subscribing to our newsletter by visiting our website www.adventuressanlik.com. I hope your mind are all charged up now and you all are eager to know more. We will get latest research updates for you. Until then, stay tuned and thank you.